Let's take a glance at selected Philippine caricature in, in Alfred McCoy's Philippine Cartoons Political Caricature of the American Era 1900 to 1941. Political cartoons and caricature are rather recent art form which veered away from the classical art by exaggerating human features and poking fans and its subjects such art genre and technique, became a print media as a form of social and political commentary which usually targets persons of power and authority. This cartoon became an effective tool of publicizing opinions through heavy use of symbolism, which is different from a verbose written editorial and opinion pieces. The unique way that the caricature represents opinion and captures the audience's imagination is reason enough for historians to examine these political cartoons and commentaries. What is a caricature? A caricature, a picture description of imitation of a person in which certain striking characteristics are exaggerated in order to create a comic or grotesque effect. Philippine Cartoons Political Caricature of the American Era 1900 to 1941 by Alfred McCoy and Alfredo Roses, newspaper dailies and periodicals. We are going to look at selected cartoons and explain the context of one. The first example shown was published in The Independent on May 20, 1916. Cartoons shows a politician from Tondo named Dr. Santos passing his crown to his brother-in-law, Dr. Barcelona. A Filipino guy depicted wearing a salakot and Barong Tagalog was trying to stop Santos stealing the ladder to stop giving Barcelona the crown because it is not his to begin with. To analyze this political caricature, this actually speaks the politics and the crown represent the Philippines. The crown symbolizes the sovereignty that the Filipinos should have to the Treaty of Paris. The Philippines was sold by the Spaniards to the Americans. We know that the Filipinos, especially the government of Emilio Aguinaldo, tried to oppose or express their opinions to oppose these things, but the sad reality was the Filipinos nothing to do with this because the Spaniards gave the Philippines to the Americans. So the political caricature speaks something about this particular truth that happened in history today. The best example of this is the political dynasty in the Philippines, that which was rampant in Tondo during those times of the political caricature. Also about the truth of political dynasty, that idea that the government power is given to those relatives. Now that is the definition of political dynasty. Until this present, it is happening in our country, the Philippines, that the political dynasty of some politics are given to those relatives who is running for the politicians. And the second cartoons depicts a cinema blown up police officer. As we can see, there is police officer was look at the screen saying that the couples are not allowed to neck and love and making love in the theater. Two youngsters look horrified while the other older couple seems amused. Another example of this, what that McCoy is called, is the sexual revolution that occurred in 1930s. Young peoples as early as the period disturbed the conservative mindset by engaging in daring sexual activities in the public spaces like cinemas here. We can see how period was the meeting point, the conservative past, and the liberated future of the Philippines. And now we can see that this totally happened also in our country, that we can see in the social media now liberated and social media, how liberated the other people are. As we can see on those social media, there are some scandals that they uploaded by some people. And the third cartoon was published by Lipang The third cartoon is All Tornos Los Partidos. The third cartoon was published by Liphang Kalabaw on August 24, 1907. In the picture, we can see that Uncle Sam rationing porridge to the politicians and member of the Progressive Party, sometimes known as the Federalist Party, while members of the Nationalist Party looked on and wait for their turn. This cartoon depicts the patronage of the United States being coveted by politicians from either of the party. As we can see here, the two national party, the national party patronage became influential and powerful. So patronage became influential and powerful, the essence of the competing politicians' parties to enforce choices among the voters. So was cancelled out of the problem continues. By the present where politicians transfer from the party to another depending on which party who was powerful and specific periods of time. The best example of this is the PDP Laban today. As we can see on the news that their parties are not intact at all, and headed by Manny Pacquiao, and and some of their ally are transferred to the other parties because of their parties are not intact at all, and the other are transferred to another party. So that's the best example of this. They are transferred to another party that are powerful. And that's all. Thank you.